Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars and welcome to another PlayStation review. Today I'm taking a look at Forever Skies on the PlayStation 5. Now Forever Skies came out just very recently on the PlayStation. I put up some gameplay of this game several weeks ago. There was a demo in the PlayStation Store that people could take advantage of. And to try the game in its early access before it got its full release on PlayStation 5. I did that. I put a little bit of gameplay up for you guys because I already knew I was going to be getting this game. I had it pre-ordered. This is just my sort of game. And what is Forever Skies? Well, essentially it is... it's a survival game that blends in like building mechanics. You've got your own airship, basically. The story here is Earth has been devastated for a long, long time. It is basically diseased, poisonous, and completely in apocalyptic state for humanity. You've been sent to Earth to basically explore and try and find a cure for this toxic disease so that we can kind of reclaim the planet. However, you crash land on the way down to Earth and you've got to basically start from scratch. So you find some tools, you find like a very, very basic airship that you take charge of, and then slowly but surely you explore the surroundings, explore the world, customize your airship, build extensions onto your airship, make it bigger, stronger, add more tools to your disposal, until you've basically find the answers. So really, and you're probably going to hear this from a lot of people, but it is true. Really is Subnautica, but out of the ocean, in an airship. Now, I was such a big fan of Subnautica. It was all-consuming. It basically took over my life. The gameplay loop is so addictive, and it was such a fantastic game. So I was delighted when I started playing this. It felt completely familiar in regards to the gameplay loop that you experience in Subnautica if you've played that game. It is the gameplay loop of collecting resources continuously throughout the game. You're going to need all sorts of resources like metals and synthetics and silicon and helium. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And you explore the world and you can find these scattered around. You can find them floating around in the air as well, some of this debris that's flying around or attached to buildings. You've got like this extractor that you can see right there that extracts the resources if you're able to. So you'll go around, gather all these resources, and then you need to research new equipment, that kind of stuff. You've got like a suit fabricator, and you've got a normal fabricator. And they can both kind of create new and useful things for you to make your exploration life easier in the game. It takes a good few hours, if you like, to kind of settle into the game and get to the point where you kind of start, I don't know what the right word is really, getting to a comfortable level, because with this being a survival game, you need to make sure you've got enough water to drink, food to eat, and in order to get the water you need like a filtration system, and then you can basically bottle dirty water that you find out in the world, put it through the filtration system, and then it turns into clean water for you to drink. You've got like a lure, it's called, it's hanging off your airship that you can then, once you're in the air, you can drop it, and then it will kind of catch things that are in the air, like moths and that kind of stuff. It brings them back up. You put them in like a cooking facility, it cooks them, and then that gives you the nutrients that you need to carry on. So you've got all that kind of going off as well. You've got to maintain your health, you've got to maintain your food, your drink, and your energy. So you've got to sleep as well. And once you kind of get a good balance with them. Once you've got like plenty of water stored and you've got a good source of food, very similar to Subnautica. Early on in that game, it was difficult to kind of manage those, but eventually you get to the point where you've got, you can plant things to kind of grow food for you, and this is very, very similar. There's gardening mechanics in here for you to kind of research and plant seeds to grow food, and so as your airship grows and expands and gets bigger and more advanced, that's when you start getting access to better equipment and research materials to improve all these areas, really. So as I've said, it's kind of set in a desolate future. Earth is completely shrouded in a toxic dust, and you're basically, flying through the clouds, going from like platform to platform to kind of investigate. It kind of sends you've got to investigate, find clues, and then that'll send you to the next platforms. There are some like barriers that you've got to get through, and you've got to kind of research certain things. Like the first barrier you've got to get through, there's like this organic material blocking your way, so you've got to research something that's going to allow you to essentially break through that barrier and move on to the next stage. So you kind of keep doing that. There are beasties in the game as well, similar to Subnautica. There are these creatures that will fly and land onto your ship and basically feed off your ship, I suppose is the best way to describe it. And if you don't kind of stop them in time, if they are latched onto a piece of equipment or like your engine or something like that, and if you don't stop them in time by zapping them basically with your gun, they will basically rip the engine off and you're going to have to kind of build a new one. So you've got these creatures that attach to your ship, and there's these big much bigger creatures out in the world that your kind of computer will warn you about. I haven't got to a point yet where I have been, if you like, munched by one of these big creatures, but you kind of avoid them is the best way to describe it. And it does kind of point them out on your mini map, on your HUD, on your airship where they are, so you kind of fly around them. There will be times when maybe you've got to be a little bit savvy in how you do that, but it does get a little bit tense here and there. I wouldn't say the fear factor is right up there with Subnautica, but it definitely is there. I also think the game looks really quite beautiful at times. At times it's quite grim and dark and depressing. There's storms. The storms are very, very loud, and really loud claps of thunder and lightning. And then there are other, as you can see here, it's when it's as clear as it's going to get, it does look quite beautiful, the game, in my opinion. Some people I've noticed, excuse me, are reporting some performance issues on the PlayStation 5, frame rate drops, that kind of stuff. Now, yes, okay, there is that kind of going on, but this is not a AAA game sort of thing. It's not bothered me at all. Some people have reported that it's kind of struggled to maintain a consistent 30 frames per second. But again, I've not noticed any major issues personally for me, but I'm quite a patient and forgiving gamer. It's not bothered me at all. I don't expect perfection in most games, but especially not a game like this, because it's not a full price game at all. It does support up as well 4-player co-op, so if you want to play with your friends as well, that's something that you can do here, but I can't honestly tell you how that works because I've not tried out that sort of thing. The gameplay loop for some may become repetitive because it basically is scavenge for resources, land on platforms, scavenge for resources, look for clues, and then expand your airship, make it more advanced, make it bigger, make it stronger, that kind of stuff. Research new things, put them in your airship, and then move to your next location. And it's like rinse and repeat. You get a lot of that, but that's what you get in a lot of these survival games. Subnautica was the same for the most part. The regions are slightly different here in this game. Some regions look a little bit different than others, but I do know what the game means. It does get quite samey at times because some of the platforms you land on, you think to yourself, hang on a minute, I'm sure I've just landed on this platform not long ago. And then you're kind of like, oh no, this is set out slightly differently. So a lot of the platforms do look very, very similar. There's not a huge amount of variety in many of them, but that's a fairly minor gripe on my part, really. I think the game, personally, I think it's a really unique and immersive game. I've really enjoyed what I've put into it so far, and I'm going to be putting in a hell of a lot of time to this game. It's one of those games that kind of is all-consuming. The airship customization is going to take up a huge amount of your time. The survival mechanics are done very, very well here. They're not overly difficult. Sometimes they can be really a problem in games like this, and they're too harsh. I don't think it is too harsh here. In regards to cons, if you are a perfectionist for your game, some of the performance issues might bother you in regards to frame rate drops, things like that. The repetitive gameplay loop might not be for everybody, I guess. But from my perspective, I think the game is a really, really cool, fresh take on the survival genre. I love the airship gameplay. I love the atmospheric world that you're in. I love the sense of exploration and danger that you feel sometimes in the game. I'm really having a great time with this one. And I do strongly recommend it. I'm absolutely loving it personally. There's very little I can give you in regards to flaws from my perspective anyway. I just love spending huge amounts of my time basically kind of expanding the airship, building, researching new stuff, researching a furniture fabricator so that you can put those little luxuries into your airship, putting extra engines on to make your ship go faster, putting extra hover things on to make it go higher, all this kind of stuff. So and then you can expand like the airship part of it to make it so it'll take more weight, because eventually you'll get to it where it won't allow you to build anymore because you've exceeded your weight limit. It's great. It's a really, really good survival game. For me, it's on par with Subnautica in regards to addictability and just its creativeness, and I'm having a great time with it, and I'm going to give it a very, very, very strong 9 out of 10. It's really good value for money in my opinion, so I hope you enjoyed this review. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you back on the channel for more reviews very, very soon.